Hello and welcome to today's episode. I don't know what we're going to call this, but I'm very excited. And today I'm talking about something that's just on everyone's mind, and that is not getting burned by your future investment of a business coach or any really service out there. And today I'm going to dive into that is how not to get burned by your coach, because I have had a coach since 2019, I believe, if not earlier. And I've never encountered this issue, but it's happening out there. So I want to share with you how it is that I'm able to select who I want to work with, what that process looks like, and hopefully prevent you from getting burnt yourself. Let's go. If you're new here, my name is Anna Pautassi. I am the founder of Dreaming Big Lifestyle, and I myself am a business coach and a marketing strategist helping entrepreneurs like yourself grow their businesses with business strategies, marketing strategies, because I have 10 plus years of experience in that field, and mindset tools, because your head will take you out of the game long before any new strategy that you try to implement. So let's talk about how to choose a coach or a business coach or really any service-based person offer out there without getting burnt. Okay, there's a lot of talk about this, and every time I see it, I'm like, oh gosh, I hate that this is happening to people, because it hasn't happened to me, but yet it seems to be a pattern in conversations in the digital world. So there's a lot of people out there that are maybe selling one thing and providing something different. So here I'm walking you through my method and my system on how I'm able to select coaches and services that have given me exactly what I was expecting them. They met what they sold. It wasn't, false advertisement. If you know marketing terms, you'll find that funny. I definitely do. So let's talk a little bit about that. Okay, the first coach I hired, in all honesty, it took me like 2 years to decide to do this, because it was the first time that, back then, coaching and business coaching was more so portrayed as a way of having a mentor, more so than a coach. And what that looked like at the time was really finding someone in the industry that you were in. So a lot of times that was corporate 9 to 5, and finding someone that could mentor you into basically going up the corporate ladder to get to where you wanted to be. And this whole idea of a business coach to help you actually start your own business and be an entrepreneur was still a little bit new at the time, at least in terms of the information that I was consuming. For me, it was quite new. So in all honesty, I came across this person through not even mutual friends, it was more like mutual acquaintances. And they posted about them, and I was like, oh, this is so interesting. Like, I can't believe this woman has started her own business and she's so successful. She's making 6 figures only 2 years into her business. Like, that's wild. And I started consuming her content. But in all honesty, I followed her for 2 years before I decided to take the plunge. But I was in their world. I was committed to being in their world. And I think that's very key. I signed up for their emails, so I was getting that information. I signed up for free downloads, attended their free classes. I basically just stalked their digital platform. And not only that, but I also had conversations with this person, because it wasn't for me just enough to like consume the free content. I needed to understand their vibe. Like, what are you about? So being in like basically stalker mode, as bad as that sounds, like I'm not actually trying to figure out where they live and go to their house, just a little disclaimer there, but more like, FBI work of like, let me gather all the information that I need to know to be able to make a decision that makes sense for me. And at that time, it was very scary because, again, like I mentioned, it wasn't a very common thing. And, being vulnerable and even having the idea of starting your own business, but not knowing what that business could look like, there's a lot of vulnerability happening and uncertainty. So for me, I needed like the time and the information consumption to really understand what that next step looked like for me and who that would be with. So not only was I consuming all their free content, I was also like in their DMs if they were posting polls or asking questions, or if there's something that piqued my interest, in the lifestyle that they were sharing. I wasn't afraid to have conversations with them in the DMs, because it's so good to start off a relationship already having something in common. And then I booked a one-on-one discovery call with them. It was a 30-minute call to basically talk about where I was, where I wanted to be, to understand their vibe of communicating. Did they get me? Were they ahead of the game? What kind of coaching did they do? Really get an understanding for that. And these discovery calls are free. So if the coach that you're interested in, whether that's me or someone else, I offer discovery calls. Just shoot me a message. book them because it's going to give you that one-on-one experience of what is it like to work with you, and can you actually help me get to where I want to be based on where I am right now. Okay. Then I made sure she was who and where I wanted to be. I think that's so important because sometimes what I've noticed in this ongoing conversation of not getting what you want from a coach is that maybe they're not in the position and, the mentor, the person that you look up to, and how are they gonna, basically, if they're not where you want to be, how are they gonna help you get there? You know? So you definitely need to vibe on some sort of level. Like, do we understand each other? Do we maybe have similar interests? Do you like the things that I'm sharing out there for free? And if you do, then book the one-on-one call because you're going to get so much more understanding of your business coach, potential business coach in that setting. And then what I did, because I'm a scary cat, I will be honest, a lot of people just dive into the deep end and I was just like, I don't know. And again, because at that time, not as common as it is now. So I signed up for their lower end offer. It was a lower end offer. It was actually like a bit of a monthly membership. It was, I think, $27, $37 a month. And it was all about mindset because for me, it was like, I'm understanding that I do have the potential to possibly have a business, but that wasn't really at the forefront. For me, it was more, I'm noticing that I'm not the person I want to be and I'm not present in my life. And if this isn't your first time here, you've heard me talk a lot about this, of having that struggle of feeling like I was constantly thinking about my past and my future and having a really hard time being in the present moment. So I took a course, low ticket, with this ideal business coach, the one that I had basically virtually stalking, quote unquote. And that's where I started. And then after having that experience with them for about like 4 months, I was like, what am I waiting for? Like right now I'm doing like a band-aid fix, but like, no, this is deeper than that. So then I signed up into their high ticket offer, and what I loved most about it and what gravitated me towards this particular business coach was that they saw my wins as theirs. Like if I was successful, they felt they were successful. If I was getting a client, they were excited I was getting a client. If I was launching my website, they were so excited I was launching my website. And I really love that because it made like the guide, basically, like the path, it made me feel like I was on the right path because if they were excited about it, like why wouldn't I be? And a lot of the times, this is one thing about having a business coach or someone in your corner to help you, is that a lot of the times we don't realize that those little milestones are worth of so much celebration because they're just going to open up the biggest doors possible and imaginable. And because we're so in it, and this, again, sense of vulnerability, sometimes when we're so in our business, we can't see beyond what we can see kind of thing. It's just so good to have that additional support of someone else being like, hey, don't forget that you're kicking butt right now. Like, you're doing amazing. So this sort of became my guide for choosing what courses and coaches I wanted to work with. Like I really dove into the free content out there, and if there were any red flags, I took note of them. Like you say you have time freedom, but I see you working 24/7 on your vacation. Like that doesn't make sense to me. Like there's business coaches out there that I see their programs. I'm like, I feel like you offer such amazing value, but then I'm watching you on social media and you're literally in Europe saying that you're on your dream vacation and you have all this time freedom and sharing that your schedule is not only jam-packed with tourism that you're doing in this country, but in addition to that, so much work. And I'm like, although I value what you have to teach, and I can tell from your free content and everything that's out there that you're sharing that you would be able to provide me with such amazing intel, I'm not willing to jump off the fence because I don't want that lifestyle. I don't want to be on vacation in front of my computer working my butt off. It's one thing to like share that you're on vacation on your social media, on your Instagram account or whatever, and being like, hey, like you can have this time freedom too, because that, to be honest, takes you what? 10-15 minutes, especially if you're like good at it and you're like, yeah, okay, like 10-15 minutes out of your vacation, I can get behind that. But you're telling me that you had to plan tours at a certain time so that you could then be in your hotel room to work 4 hours. I'm not into that. So, like if I notice those red flags, sometimes it takes a little longer to notice that. But, like, are they walking their talk? And this particular coach that I'm describing here, without saying any names, confidentiality, of course, like she's really happy doing that. And I love that for her. But in terms of, finding that person that's where I want to be, that's just not the vibe that I'm going for. I want a business that supports my lifestyle and makes my lifestyle number one. And for me to be on vacation in Europe, which I love going to Europe, oh, if I could live there, that just isn't for me. So that's a bit of a red flag on my end. I'm still consuming their content. I'm still checking out their stuff, but like I know in the back of my mind that I'm like, something about this wouldn't be fully aligned for me. So unless I see something change, like I don't feel comfortable making the jump and I'd rather work with someone else. If they're free content, this is another thing to note. If their free content is good and helping you in some way, like they're actually like sharing information that you can go and implement and you're seeing results, just imagine how amazing their paid stuff is going to be. Okay. And if they are good coaches, they're not just going to give you the cookie cutter. They're going to go, this is the cookie cutter, but we're going to like redesign this to work for the way that you want to run your business and for the way that you want to be living your life. That's what I do. Okay. I'm like, yes, I have the cookie cutters, which is like the marketing strategies and the business strategies, the foundations, what's trending, all that good stuff that you need to know. But then I talk to you and I go, okay, tell me about yourself and what does your future look like and what kind of lifestyle do you want your business to support? Because I'm going to take all this that's like cookie cutter and go, from this one, we're going to take this part and instead of doing, A, B, C, we're going to do like X, Y, and P because that makes more sense based on what you want and it's still going to give you really good results, okay? That is like one-on-one coaching. And that's what I love to do. But that was a little bit of a digression there. And when you're paying for something, another thing to know is that it adds a level of commitment. So if you're noticing that you're like taking advantage of all the free stuff, but you're downloading or signing up for the workshop, then you're not attending a live, you're not watching the replay, you're not going through the workbook, that's more of an indication of your habits than it is of that coach being a good match for you. Because a lot of the times it was good enough for you to sign up for it, right? So already they're going to provide value that you're interested in, but then you're not willing to actually dedicate the time to it. So it says more about where you are and maybe some of the habits that you need to break. And sometimes having that coach be there, being like, hey, did you do this? Holding you accountable to everything you said you're going to do is going to move you so much further than you can move yourself, because it adds another level of commitment when you pay for something. So this really helped me also learn how to have the right people in my circle, because we consume so much information online, let's be honest. We consume a lot of information. Some of it we don't even want to consume, but it just shows up on our feeds and we're like, well, let's hear, right? So even with that said, I will say that there's business coaches that I followed for like months and years and then have unfollowed them because the growth that I have done feels like it's no longer aligned with what they could offer for me. Or maybe I feel like the information that they're sharing, like I try not to be in too many people's like potential mentors or actual mentors worlds because it's a lot of information. And depending what field of work you're in, a lot of the information is the same, but maybe with like a twist. So you got to find the person that's like, I like that twist. I like the way you do things that way, right? So it's okay to unfollow people. And if you feel awkward about it, just mute them. Mute them so they don't show up on your feed or your stories and whatnot, okay? Because you need to be mindful of the information that you're consuming. And one thing that threw me off my game when I was early stages, first couple of years of my business, was that one coach over here was like, do social media this way. And then another coach over here was like, oh, this is the newest thing that's up and coming. So then I wouldn't even actually put into play this strategy fully to see if it was successful and would work for me and what I wanted, because I wouldn't even see it to the full extent and I automatically switched over here. And then the same thing would happen. So I was never actually concluding any sort of cycle within any marketing strategies that I was putting into play. So I was really just like throwing things at the wall, and if it didn't stick within a second, I was moving on, and that just wasn't realistic. So let's talk a little bit about the benefits of having a business coach, because if this is the first or you've only recently started hearing about this even being an industry or a service you can tap into, and you want to start a business or you have a business or you're an entrepreneur, whatever that looks like, it's great to have a business coach. And the reason for that is because you get the accountability, okay? There's someone there going, remember when you said you were going to do that? What's going on? Why didn't you do that? And also when you invest in yourself, there's that additional level of commitment because you don't want that to be money wasted, which is pretty much this whole conversation that we're having here, right? In addition to that, you get to learn from someone who has already been there, especially if you're choosing a coach that's where you want to be. You're going to say, hey, this is where I'm at. And this is what I think my next step is. And that coach should be able to say, that's an amazing idea. Keep in mind this, and this. If I was doing that all over again, this, and this were the things that I would alter based on the lessons that I learned. So you're basically cutting out you learning the lesson for yourself, which you're going to learn a lot of lessons regardless. But it's cutting out almost like those foundational lessons that you're like, Anna, did you ever do this? And what lessons did you learn? Oh, that's where you struggled. Oh, so I should switch that. Perfect. So now that lesson, it's like, I'm going to level 3. I'm skipping level 1 because you just told me the lessons that I needed from that. Okay. And the other thing is that there isn't really a manual for getting it right. There's no manual. There's no manual out there where you can go and get a step-by-step how to start a business and whatever it is that you're doing, how to grow it, how to make it successful. There's information out there, but there's no manual that guarantees, like IKEA. If you throw all these things together and put it together, because sometimes the instructions are the best for that. But the point being is like instructions on building furniture. You know that at the end of putting this together, like you're going to have that piece of furniture and it's going to be functional to whatever needs the furniture is supposed to fulfill. But when it comes to a business, like sometimes you have to pivot, sometimes buyer behaviors change, sometimes the online digital world changes, so you have to be able to pivot. So there isn't like a full-on manual that you can just acquire, which is why having a business coach is amazing, because they're basically your manual. Okay? So when I coach clients, it's like having your best friend who knows marketing, because they have 10 years of experience in that, and is catering everything to what works for you, including the tough love, okay? I'm all about tough love, because if I'm noticing that you're self-sabotaging, I'm like, we're not doing that here. Like, you are purposely setting yourself back months for no reason whatsoever, because I know what you want. You told me what you want, so let's go for it. Okay, so I want to share with you a little bit about my offers. If that's something that you're interested in, if you're watching this, it's because you're thinking about hiring a business coach. So it would be silly of me not to tell you how we can work together. So what I offer is really 100% coaching, which means I will share strategies with you, coach you through how to actually implement them, and help you adjust them as needed to fit your flair, your ideal client desires, and your uniqueness, okay? I think that's so crucial, because you are what make your business unique. I have a client, and this is just a little bit of a case study so you get an understanding what I mean by, like, there's a cookie cutter and we modify the crap out of it to suit your needs. I have a client who I tell not to show up on social media on some weeks of the month, okay? Okay? You're going, what? I know, because any other coach out there would say, show up on social media all the time, okay? This is a one-on-one client, and we have specifically mapped out months and weeks out of the year where she does not show up on social media, because her superpower lies in her energy, okay? So when she's really high energy, she gets clients just by thinking about it. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, right? Like, you're like, I feel like this is a lie. I don't wish it was a lie. I wish this was the case for everyone, right? But this is the thing. It's like, if you're going to hire a one-on-one coach, they need to understand what your superpower is so that you can maximize it. For her, it's her energy. When she has like the best day ever, flooded with clients, to the point that she shows up on social media, does one post, and she actually gets clients, okay? She gets clients with one post. That's very hard to do. And she doesn't have like 10K followers. In fact, I don't even think she has 3,000 followers on her Instagram. And she still gets clients, even when she's not actively showing up. And she still makes 10K months, okay? This is what I mean by like the cookie cutter. The cookie cutter is awesome because it gives you a framework, but then you need to be able to adjust that into something that works for you. Okay, if you're wanting to grow your side business or take your business full time, make a 6-figure income, or spend more time living and less time working, or really all of the above, my first class freedom program was created for you. This is a one-on-one offer. It's 3 months. You get monthly one-on-one calls. You get 2 calls a month. You get unlimited support. Basically, you can message me at any point in time during the 3 months, constantly, as many questions as you have, and I'm there to answer. You get office hours to send me stuff for me to review. You get lifetime access to a library of workshops. And this is like in itself so much information in there that you can just run with. You get lifetime access to it. So I constantly add more workshops onto this monthly, so you continue to get that, which is great. And you also get access to my self-paced courses. So you get access to my current ones, which are Good Vibes, which is all about mindset. You get access to my business planning one, which allows you to set up your business for the year. Like, it's a lot of good stuff in there. So if you're interested in that, check out my website. Let's connect, because I only have a few spots available for Q1. But this is like my signature program, and where we really just set up your business to support your lifestyle, and that is what I'm here for. And I'm sending you lots of love to everyone out there that's trying to figure out who the right business coach is for them. Like I said, book those discovery calls if they have them, and if not, consume as much free content, and don't be afraid to go into their DMs. Go into their DMs and ask questions. They're going to guide you the right way.